Yeah, but it's okay. It's all right. I'll sit in my corner. I'll sit in my corner. She's here. She's in the closet. Rabbi, I don't know if Rabbi's coming, but
He's away.
oh, he's away.
But
Okay.
I didn't even expect him to come. I was surprised to see him. Yeah, he said he was going to go. I have something for you.
my gosh. I didn't. I care about you and Larry a lot, and whatever I can do to help.
You'll still be here.
Yeah. I made these for you guys for Alice. Alice, for in honor of your dad. He's a veteran, you know. Why would you need to do anything? That's what I'm here for. I'll stick them right over. It was, yeah, I'm almost too serious. I'm telling you, I'm just so enthralled with it. I'm like, he's a good stuff.
And it was all by the car.
Yeah.
It was very interesting. Yeah, my dad was so pleased.
I mean, I'm telling you, that was what was so impressive to me. How it just went after everything and succeeded.
Yeah. I mean, he would go to Apple Store a couple times a week with a big desktop, and he would just go to work. It was like incredible. Yeah, so, yeah, it was very special. You realize it as you're going through the motions. I mean, you know it, but you don't until you sit back and you like listen to the stories. And that's when you kind of have time to penetrate, hear it. Yeah, so it's a role model.
Such a big family you guys have. So nice that everyone keeps together.
Yeah.
Oh, Suzanne. I know you too well. That's so fun. You're funny. You're funny. Dear friends, let's go ahead and begin our service here in just a moment. I know many of us haven't seen each other in a while. We've had some unfortunate tragedies in our community, and it's important to be with our community and our family. So it's wonderful to be all together here today for Shabbat Shoftim. My name is Cantor Annalise, for those of you who don't know me. As you may have noticed, there should be two of us up here, but Rabbi is down the shore enjoying this last weekend before we hit the ground running for the dreaded holidays. So, not dreaded, that sounds terrible of me to say that. Looking forward to it, but you know, it becomes a very full weekend. So, that being said, let's leave what we're able to leave behind to focus in on this moment of rest, of community, of seeking gratitude in the little moments when we're able to seek those moments. So let's begin our service by welcoming the Shabbos angels on page 16 with Shalom Aleichem.
Kadosh
conclude our secular work week and enter in our Shabbat, each one of the Psalms that we do in Kabbalah, the receiving and welcoming of the Shabbat, we recite a psalm for each day. So we'll begin our first psalm on page 22, Psalm 95, L'chuna ranana, the first few lines at the top, and then we'll conclude with the last 3 lines at the bottom that'll take us right into the next page for Psalm 96. L'chuna ranana, l'chuna ranana, l'chuna ranana, l'Adonai, l'chuna ranana, l'chuna ranana, l'chuna ranana, l'Adonai. Naria, naria, letzor yishenu, bekadma chanam betodah. Page 24, sing unto Adonai a new song, sing unto Adonai all the earth. Let's join together first with the nigun, the wordless melody, and then the text on the first 4 lines. La 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 la, la 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 la, la 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 la, la 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 la, la 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 la, la 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 la, la 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 la, la 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 la. Continue on the next page, page 26. The last 2 lines, Or Zarua Lat Tzadik Ol Yishrei Lev Simcha. The light is sown for the righteous, and the joy in the hearts of the upright. So, Or Zarua. Here we go. Or tend to highlight little elements of Kabbalat. So we're going to skip to our Lechadodi, our beautiful piyut, which is a liturgical poem, a poem who was written by someone called a Payatan, somebody who was very, I don't want to say observant, but somebody who really knew Judaism well and had such a passion for it. And they were more or less a very simple poet. And their poetry expanded through communities and brought a lot of popularity to these Jewish communities, so much so that they became codified in our prayer book. So Lechadodi is one of the more popular piyutim that we have, but what I love about Lechadodi and what I love about piyutim in general is that a lot of our text in the Siddur comes from the Tanakh, the Jewish Bible. Right? We have a lot of quotes from the Torah, from the book of Judges, but what I find so amazing and beautiful is that a regular, wonderful Jew who has no title, no esteem, no backup royalty, nothing like that, can create something so beautiful and so meaningful that it touches everyone's heart. And that's what this poetry is all about. So tonight we sing about the Shabbat bride, our queen. Sorry, Beyonce, but Shabbat is our bride. She comes in second, though. So this is I've been doing it the last 2 weeks because I just can't get enough of it. Rabbi Josh Roshovsky has started off, actually, he and I did a guitar class in cantorial school. He's a rabbi, so it didn't quite work out for him, but I still like him. He's a good guy. But he wrote some beautiful, beautiful music, started in Ramah in Wisconsin, and has completely changed Jewish contemporary music. And his Lechadodi, he has a couple versions. He wrote this one, which I hope that you will also enjoy.
La
always puts me in a good mood. I love that. I love that melody. It's beautiful. So we've arrived at the Shabbat moment, the Shabbat Psalm, Psalm 92 on page 42. Let's begin first by reading what it is that we say in the Hebrew. In the English, we'll read responsibly. Everyone joins in the italicized, indented stanzas. It is good to thank you, O God, to sing praises to your exalted name. The sound of the 10-string lyre with voice and the music of the harp. How great are your deeds, O God, how profound are your designs. Though the wicked may thrive like grass and the doers of evil seem to flourish. Those who oppose you will perish, the workers of iniquity will be routed. I see the defeat of my foes, I hear the doom of my enemies. So we turn over to the last 4 lines on page 42, Tzadik Katamar. Tzadik Katamar Yifrach Ke'eres Balebanon Yizkeh Shetulim Bevet Adonai Mechatzrot Eloheinu Yavrecho Od Yenovu Beseba Teshenim Ra'ananim Yiyu Lehagir Ki Asher Adonai Tzori Velo Amlatapo. So we transition now from Kabbalah to the receiving as the sun kind of goes down to our Shabbat evening service, Shabbat Ma'ariv. So as we do that, I'm going to put my talit on, and if I can invite the Pashkos to open our ark as we turn to page 50 for the Baruch Hu. So let's all rise once the ark is opened. La 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 52 for Ahavat Olam, and I'd also like to invite up Eli Raskin, who will be leading us in tonight's V'ahavta. Eli is an incoming B Mitzvah student who will have his B Mitzvah during Shabbat Sukkot. So at the conclusion of Ahavah. Good. I'll jump in, okay? So page 52. Eli. Continue with the remaining prayers of Shema on our own, page 56 and 58. תזכרו ועשיתם מכל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים אלוהיכם אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים אני אדוני אלוהיכם אדוני אלוהיכם amen. Before continuing on in our service, I'd like actually all of us to turn back to page 41. It is customary at the conclusion of Kabbalat to welcome our mourners, to offer comfort and blessing in anything that we're able to offer. So I want to extend our deepest condolences to Suzanne and Larry, to Bev, on the passing of Suzanne's father, Joseph Cates, Joe, and also to Arlene and, Karen, yes, please, their brother Fred, whose funeral is this morning. So we extend our condolences to the family, and let's say it at the bottom of page 41 in Hebrew first, and then together in the English. Hamakom yanachem etchem betoch sha'ar avelei Tzion v'Yerushalayim. May the Holy One who comforts Israel grant you solace in your bereavement. So we turn back now to page 61. Emet ve'emunah, God our Redeemer. Let's read responsibly in the English, and then we'll turn to Micha Mocha on the previous page. True and certain it is that there is one God, incomparable, and that we, the household of Israel, are God's people. Great are the things which God has done, with wonders which are without number. May God continue to protect our people and guard all humankind from disaster. They accepted God's sovereignty willingly and sang in joyous thanksgiving. So you turn over to the last 6 lines on page 60, Mi Chamocha. Prayers is on next page 62, Hashkivenu. May we lie down in peace, may we wake into life on the morrow, but may we always be guided with God's good counsel and find shelter, Ufros Aleinu Sukkot Shelamecha, of peace. Ashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu Leshalom Le'amiteinu Malkeinu L'chaim Ashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leshalom Le'amiteinu Malkeinu L'chaim Uvnos aleinu Sukkot shalomecha Me'ata ve'ad olam Me'ata ve'ad olam Me'ata ve'ad olam. Last final blessing. Baruch atah Adonai Aporeh Sukkot Shalom Aleinu Ve'al kol amo Yisrael Ve'al Yerushalayim. So I know that we have a couple of folks in this room who are familiar with the hand motions of Vishamru, which is our next prayer on page 64. So if you're feeling up to it, or you're young at heart, I encourage you. I see Barbara's already getting herself ready to go. Let's get into Vishamru, page 64. All right. Vishamru b'nei Yisrael HaShabbat Lasot et HaShabbat Letorotam berit olam Vishamru b'nei Yisrael HaShabbat Lasot et HaShabbat Letorotam berit olam Beini uvein b'nei Yisrael Oti le'olam Veshamro b'nei Yisrael HaShabbat Lasot et HaShabbat Letorotam berit olam Ki sheshet yamim asa Adonai et hashamayim ve'et haaretz Veshamru b'nei Yisrael HaShabbat Lasot et HaShabbat Letorotam berit olam Uvayom hashvi'i shava vayinafash Shava vayinafash Veshamru b'nei Yisrael HaShabbat Lasot et HaShabbat Letorotam berit olam. So we move now, or transition now, to Hatzik Hadish, which marks the moments that we take our mind, our hearts into the Hatfilah, the prayer, the Amidah, which we will find on pages 69 through 76. During the Amidah, there's the text of Hebrew, English, but however you take this moment in, for the moment of gratitude that might come across your mind, for the peace that you hope to seek in the coming weeks, however you decide upon it, take this moment for yourselves. Chatzi Kaddish first. Yitzkata v'yitzkat Hashem Rabbah Yamad yivrach yiruteh v'yamlich malchuteh b'chayechon uv'yomechon uv'chayetecho beit Yisrael b'gala b'gala uv'izman karev v'yimru amen Yehi Shemei Rabbah mevarach ve'alam ulam me'amaya Yitbarach ve'yishtabach v'pa'ar v'troma v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yitale v'yitalal Shemer kodesha v'recho le'ela mikol berchata v'shirata Josh v'chata v'nechemata damiran me'alma v'yimru amen. So again, we begin the Amidah. Discuss quietly, individually, pages 69 through 76. of my favorite emerging Israeli artists. I shouldn't say, well, they've been on the scene for a while, but they have grown in popularity over the last decade. Nava Tehila wrote one of my favorite Oseh Shalom melodies that starts off slow, like most tunes. It really gets us into it. But what we're seeking here is for peace, for all of us, for all of Israel, and everyone who inhabits this earth. We turned to page 80, which is the Vayahulu prayer, traditionally done with the Kiddush when we're sitting around the Shabbat table. But together we do it as another marker of bringing in Shabbat from our holy text. This comes from the book of Bereshit, from Genesis. So begin together, page 80. Vayacholu hashamayim ve'haaretz v'chol tzeba'am vayachal Elohim b'yom hashvi melachto asher asa vayishbok b'yom hashvi mikol melachto asher asa Vayevarech Elohim et Yom HaShavi Vaykadesh oto ki vo shava mikol melachto asher bara Elohim lasot. So, Menahela Barbara, did you read the conversation we had before services, the little cups? Is that something we can still do? Or do you, oh, that's fine too. Then let's do that. That's great. Perfect. So on page 90, we rise now for Kiddush. So I'm going to make sure I have my wires in the right spot.
Yes.
Okay. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hakafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho be'ahava uvratzon Inechilanu zikaron מעשה בראשית, יהיו יום תחילה למקראי קודש, זכר ליציאה ממצרים. כי בנו בחרת ואותנו קידשת מכל העמים, ושבת קודשך באהבה וברצון הנחלתנו. ברוך אתה אדוני מקדש השבת. L'chaim. So you may have a seat. So I just want to touch on just a little something before we continue on in our service. So today's Parsha Shoftim is, most of what happens in Deuteronomy and Devarim is right before the Israelites become a Jewish people, become Israelites. So there's a lot of things that are reinstated, but one of the things that comes up in Shoftim, there's two things that I think are that stand out the most. The first thing is how to become a king. There's almost like a little recipe for how to become the king of Israel, because this has not been established, but Shoftim means judges. At this point, Moses is delegating people to be essentially officers and people to make sure that the justice within the land once we get to Israel is taken care of, that everybody does things the right way. And that leads me to the second part, which is one of the biggest quotes, which is justice you shall pursue. And oftentimes we hear, when we have an abundance of words or, something we say not once but twice, often it's because we mean it. There's something that is important to the word justice. And when we say justice, not only are we emphasizing it, but we're also emphasizing that it's important to really seek out as many avenues of justice to make sure that justice is actually taken into account. And the same thing goes for when a king is to be selected. So I learned about this little tidbit, but so some of the rules are, a king is not allowed to have many horses. Okay, you would think having a horses, you have chariots, you have things, you have to go places, you have to see. But the tidbit I learned is that horses came from Egypt. And that was the one place that God did not want the Israelites to go back to. So he kind of refrained from having horses, but it also kind of made somebody who has an abundance of something like horses kind of seek out other avenues of greed. And that is the second part of the recipe of becoming an Israeli king, that they shouldn't have a lot of gold. Also a little strange, because again, once you think royalty, you have an abundance of everything, especially wealth and riches. And then the third element is you can't, this is actually good because we hear a lot of different alternatives and different interpretations of what happens in marriage or being with another person or more than one person, but you should only be really married to the one person or be devoted to one person. And the king also is one of the things that they are supposed to do. I mean, back in those days there really wasn't a queen. These days it really could be everybody. But back in those days, the king was supposed to not write one, but 2 Torah scrolls. They themselves were to write out every single word of the Torah and read it every single day. Because the emphasis was not on the things that the king amasses, horses, riches, wives, but it was the words of Torah to identify and magnify everything that allowed the Jewish people to be who they were and to seek the justice and to do the right thing in the moment. And the king was supposed to have back, forwards, front and back account of everything in the Torah so that he knew how to really take care of the people. And that has always been the emphasis when it comes to studying. We always learn, we try to seek out lessons. Sometimes it's hard, especially for me as a mother, to talk about the Torah in certain elements. But what the bottom line is, and I think most educators can agree with me on this, is that it's the lessons that we glean from the Torah. Not necessarily the accounts that happen, but why are we learning about this? What kind of relationship is God having with this particular individual? It's what we're learning from this. How can we act justly? How can we act morally and thoughtfully about relationships with others, with God? And the same thing goes with being somebody as high as royalty, to the King of Israel. As the centuries progress, it does get a little bit complicated, salud. But I think with Tzedek Tirdof, justice you shall pursue, and the small attempts at not focusing on the greedy elements, but focusing on the truthful elements of Torah, that we ourselves can take these things as an example, that we can seek in our lives the rightful elements, the things that make our lives meaningful, and to find the goodness in Judaism that really makes our lives meaningful. And so for many of us, I know that we have our passions and our parts of the world that we really want to contribute to tikkun olam, and that's a very, very important element. And I think, to me, when I hear tzedek tirdof, justice you shall pursue, it's not about us, but it's about the world around us. And how do we carry ourselves so that we can live righteously and lovingly towards our neighbor. So I encourage all of us to think, as we are moving through the month of Elul, into Tishrei, into Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, to internally, to think about ourselves and how can we seek justice in the right way? How do we seek justice for others to do good so that we can live the Jewish life that God is hoping that the Israelites do for themselves as they move into the land of Israel? Now, I have to do a slight apology, but I'm going to put him on the spot. The Oseh Shalom that I was so excited to sing, I took Eli's fire. So I wonder, would you do us the favor doing V'nei Amar today? Take a look and get back. That's on page 120. We got some time. So why don't we all stand now for Aleinu on page 118, and then Eli will surprise us in a moment. Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי ארצות, ולא שמנו גמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא, שהוא נוטה שמיים ויוסד ארץ, ומושב יקרו בשמיים ממעל, ושכינתו זו בגופי מרומים. O Eloheinu ein od emen malkeinu efes ulato, כך כתוב בתורתו, וידעת היום והשבות לבביך, כי אדוני הוא האלוהים בשמיים ממעל ועל הארץ מתחת אין עוד. It's okay if you say no. You can be seated if it is your custom. We turn to 120.
ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו
We pause now in this moment in our service to remember to honor, reflect on the lives of our dear loved ones during this past week. We remember, and may their memory be a blessing, Reuben Dipperstein, Bonnie Golumbek, Carol Treeman, Yetta Herman, Michael Leibowitz, Barbara Peters, Betty Simons, Abe Snyder, Avery Zuckerman, Rose Drobin, Elaine Hurwitz, Stephen Waldman, Miriam Lunenfeld, Harriet Gertrude Paris, Rhea Rosenfeld, Nathan Sachs, Michael Berkowitz, Jerry Delson, Sylvia Gelb, Ruth Katz, Sylvia Markovitz, Dorothy Masovich, Corey Jordan Sweeb, Alvin Feiner, Gladys Golden, Eleanor Gusoff, Julius Katz, Janice Levin, Evelyn Wood, Abram Brand, Joan Corin, Nathan Fine, Samuel Grossman, Hilda Hans, Bertram Katz, Edward Weiss, Benjamin Agree, Elaine Leoff, and Mildred Lusu. And during the period of Shloshim, we note with sorrow the passing of Les Cernitsky, dear father of Craig and Anya Cernitsky, Joseph Joe Cates, father of Suzanne and Larry, and Fred Selznick, dear brother of Arlene. And during the course of the year, we remember all of our beloved family members: Melissa Levy, Moish Morris Pashko, Lynn Liss, Beth Bondell Rosenthal, David Katz, Eva Maria Ocanto Rada, Janice Lane Kind, Stanley Rath, Anna Andrusier, Arthur Schlesinger, Alan Lieboff, Candace Rosen, Jonathan Israel, Sylvia Gingold, Rochelle Uknes, Stephen Weiner, Carolyn Lipschultz, Ira Hirsch, Sherry Cass Roth, Marilyn Rosenblatt, Roni Schlesinger, Edith Kaufman, Rosalie Tankel, our dear cantor Paul Freimark, Marvin Levy, Bernard Siegel, Edith Schulman, Gussie Chudnoff, and Lou Chaifetz. And unfortunately, I just learned over the beginning of this week that my aunt, Maria Eugenia Ocanto, just passed away. Our family has a genetic disease called Huntington's disease. She'd been battling that for quite some time. So I'm grateful for her rest now. So all of us who are reciting Kaddish tonight, we rise together on page 124 for Mourner's Kaddish. Yitzkadal v'yitzkadash shemei Rabbah, v'alma divarach yirteh v'yamlich malchuteh, v'chayechon uv'yomechon uv'chayei techol beit Yisrael, ba'agala uv'izman kariv v'yimru amen. Yehei shemei Rabbah mevarach le'olam u'lalmei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yit'aleh v'yithalal l'shemei l'kudusha b'richu le'ela min kol berchata v'shirata tush b'chata v'nechemata da'amiran v'yalma v'yimru amen. Yehei shalama Rabbah min shemaya v'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'yimru amen. Oseh shalom b'imromav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'yimru Amen. May each of their memories be for a blessing. Before I call up Lindsay for our announcements, I'd like to turn now, because we are in the month of Elul, to page 170. Each day in Elul, there are a few things that we do to prepare ourselves for the High Holy Days. We blow the shofar, and we read the Psalm 27. So let's read together in the in the English responsively on page 171. Adonai is my light and my help, whom shall I fear? Adonai is the strength of my life, whom shall I dread? One thing that I ask Adonai, for this I do yearn, that I may dwell in the house of Adonai all my life, to feel the goodness of Adonai in God's sanctuary. In God's tabernacle I will bring offerings of jubilation with chanting and joyous singing. O God, I truly seek you. You do not hide yourself from me. Turn not in anger from your servant. Teach me your way, O God. Lead me on a straight path. Deliver me not to the will of my enemies. Kavel et Adonai hazak vayametz libecha vekavel Adonai. So, I'll turn over now to Lindsay for some announcements.
Thank you, Cantor. First, on behalf of the Board of Directors and the offices, our deepest condolences, Arlene and your sister, I'm sorry I don't know your name, and Mark and your whole family on the loss of your brother, Suzanne and Larry. You know how we felt about Papa Joe, so our condolences for that as well, and Cantor also for your loss. I'm so sorry. Yashakawa, Eli, I know you're ready, so fabulous job. Okay, so lots going on. As I say, whenever I'm here, we don't wind down during the summer, we wind up. So check your blue supplements, Shabbat supplements. Shabbat supplements. I'm sorry, Barbara. There are no pink supplements. They're not blue supplements. They're Shabbat supplements for everything that we have going on. Check your communications. Check your website. But I do want to point out a few things. On the heels of a fabulous open house this past week, which I heard, we couldn't be there, but we heard was so fabulous, we have lots going on. Next week, it's the return of Men's Club's famous breakfasts. They are welcoming a registered nurse who will be demonstrating how to use an AED and how to save a life. You can still sign up for that, join them for breakfast, and then the program, followed by Ohev Goes to the Phillies. Are there tickets still available, Michelle?
Tickets are still available.
Tickets are still available, so all the information to get those tickets are on the website. There's a movie night coming up. There's lots of things coming up, but I do want to remind you and thank those of you who have already purchased your bundt cakes in support of inclusion, bikavod, and accessibility. You can still purchase up until the 13th. If you don't want to eat them for Rosh Hashanah and you want to help us anyway, you can buy vouchers. And all the information is on the flyers, in your communications, etc. So good. And the Newtown Nothing Bun Cakes is kosher dairy, so that you do know that. We will have that here for you to pick up. Also, Salichot, Saturday the 17th. Please mark your calendars for that. It'll be a wine and cheese. And those of you who are joining us here today, join us for the oneg, because we are going to have a tasting of some of the wine, right, Barbara? Just one bottle, rosé. So there you go, just one bottle amongst us all. So that's what's happening right now. Stay tuned, lots more going on. Have a wonderful Labor Day weekend. I can't believe summer's over. It's been great. Enjoy and stay safe. Shabbat Shalom.
Yeah, we're getting a tasting tonight, but for Slichot, there will be more than just one bottle. I just wanted to clarify. A lot of yummy wines, a little nosh to go with it, and a really nice Slichot service. So we hope that you guys join us. Lindsay, did you say 7:45, the timing? Okay, 7:45. Sure. So I want to say thank you guys so much for being here. It's great to see you, some of you from here to here, but in all cases, we love having you here. As Lindsay said, the summer is over. We're in full force in September. Tomorrow, services, it is the last Saturday morning where services will begin at 9:45. Following week, September 10th, we are back to 9:30. All services moving forward are 9:30. However you decide, if you decide to come, we welcome you, but you'll be 15 minutes past if you're just a little bit late, which is fine. Come when you can, leave when you must, as Rabbi says. So that's all the really tail end things I have for us today. I'm grateful to be your person on deck today, and just happy to celebrate Shabbat with you. So I love Yigdal, which you can find that on page 126. So we are going to conclude tonight with Yigdal. Yigdal Elohim Chai v'yishtabach nimtza v'yener el mitziuto echad v'yen yachid yeyichudo ne'lam v'gam ensof le'achduto elo timut haguf v'yeino guf lo na'aroch elav kedushato kanmon l'chol davar asher nivra rishon v'yerashit l'reshito hinu adon olam v'chol nohotzar yoreh gedulato u'malchuto shefa nevuato netano elana shesegulato v'tifarto lakam b'Yisrael kebosheot navi u'mabit et tmunato torat minatan le'amoel al yan neviyon eman beito lo yachal Yifa'el ve'lo yamir dato le'olamim lezulato tzofeh v'yodea setareinu mabit lesof davar bekamato gomel leish chesed kemifalo noten l'rasha ra kerishato yishlach leketz yamim meshichenu לבדוק מחקקת ישועתו, מתים יחייל ורוב חסדו, ברוך הדיין שם תהילתו, מתים יחייל ורוב חסדו, ברוך הדיין שם תהילתו. שבת שלום, שבת
I'll take it. I know. I'm like,
Yeah, even if
got a couple days to go yet.
you know what happened was I was on vacation and came home and I got COVID and found out my brother was in the hospital, so I was not even able to go to church. It's bad and good because I heard he was doing so well there anyway, so maybe it was better I didn't see him.
Try for Tuesday?
I'm going to try.
I think she has.